Hey, looks like I'm streaming. Isn't that nice? So we're gonna get started with something simple, which is dealing with a unexpected case. We had it where a project that's in user acceptance testing needs to adjust to what is the live form, which is different than the form we've been using in development. The live form comes from Honeybook. We don't control it. It cannot use a date input, a time input. It cannot use a time input. The time input, when you use that, is going to put 4 p.m. into 1600, and we can rely on that. In the Honeybook form, we can only suggest to anyone what would be a good time. So what we'll do instead, by virtue of the constraints of the form, is if they put in an incompatible time, we'll just use an all-day event, which means we'll ignore time and we'll use only the date. So let's get into it. We're dealing with when an inquiry is created. We have something called inquiry controller. The create API, I was logging to do some little console log debugging. And we get to here, where we say time to number. We want to turn a time into a number. It might be nan. So what can we deal with that? It's something like function here will return a number, and we'll want to do body start time and end time. Neither of them are nan. So there's a number is nan. Great. We can work with that. We can state we have const start time. That's going to be equal to this here, this number, and we state we've got end time. And we can state const is time valid is equal to number is nan start time and number is nan end time. Check a couple of knots, and we got a valid time. That means we'll do the start date just as is, though we'll plunk it up here and state we've got start date is equal to that. And we'll really change up what the end date is like. Const end date is going to be equal to is time valid, okay, and then and start time is less than end time. Which is the same as what we've got here with the addition of this. And here we're using, if this is the case, then we use the start date. And if it's not the case, then we deal with this doodah, which is stating it's the next day. We can state something like tomorrow date to be a bit more semantic. So the end date is going to be, given that we've got valid times, we can calculate that end date as start or tomorrow, but if not, we just say it's the start. good enough. We get further along. Might be the case that we've got a empty value for a phone number. We're just gonna mark that as there isn't one. Leave that empty. I'm not sure. We'll see how that plays out. We just got to look at it again. And we do format inquiry, where this may not be the best handling when we format the start time and the end time. We want to know a bit more about it because we're doing a format time. I want to say if the time there isn't one, and we say type, it's going to be TT or number. If it's not TT, we're going to split on the colon, the hours, and then the minutes. Might be able to improve that. By removing this not and then using a different bit, we can say time.split is that split time. We can say const split time const hours is equal to split time at 0. And we can say minutes is going to be equal to split time dot substring of 0 till, is it inclusive or exclusive? Exclusive. Great. That's because we did reassignment. And it's a little bit better. A little bit. I prefer using this up here. Our time to number utility is going to get put into a utilities directory where we can do a little bit more with it. Let's go to where we've got that. Shared utils, we'll just say new file, time to number, ts, export, function, time to number. Get a little doc on it. It's fairly obvious, and now it's entirely explicit. And then we'll just include that. Export default. This is the way we deal with this library here. Time to number, the import. So we're happy with that. We go over to our format time utility, and we can import time utility from. If we can't derive hour and minute from this, we don't have a number, which is a bit like some Fakakta stuff over here. I don't know. It has to presume the time is in 24-hour. We lose a little bit of flexibility, but we gain a little bit more predictability. So I like that. So if there's not a time, that's fine. And then we can say const time as number is equal to time to number time. If time as number number is nan, I think we'll return like empty string. It's just consistent with when there's no time at all. Ah, no. Just return the time. It won't do any formatting on it. Yep. Which makes all this stuff moot. And we'll do a little doc on that too. Okay, so then when we were looking at the flow here, we had format inquiry, which is going to just give us back the time if it can't properly deal with it. Use it anywhere. Alright. I don't know why we deal with the budget like that. We don't need to. I don't think we deal with either of these anymore in the relevant spot. We just don't deal with it at all. So we can remove that. Send our messages. We say we're cool. And we are. So our create should work now. And then what more do we want to do? In our creation of a calendar invite. Calendar events create. Google Calendar events create preams. Let's deal with that. Google Calendar create API. That little doodah. Get there? Yeah. Let's go to event. And we want to create one. Yeah. So end, let's see, all day. Anyone could add attendees, blah, to do about the attendees. We don't care. Date and time. Don't think it's necessary. Default focus from Gmail, blah blah. Focus time, gadget stuff. Oh, come on now. It's a frustration to read all this. What we want to do is get to, yeah, and it's not there. Let's see what we can deal with here. Let's do a little chat. API call for creating a all-day calendar event Gmail API using fetch. So basically just don't put times in, is what it's telling me. And differently actually than what I just said. It's more like this. It's like type Google Calendar time equals maybe date never or maybe date time never. Now we're cooking up some functional, and I mean usable, typing. Alright, so back over here, we get towards, we want to make a calendar event, and our start is this. So we say counts start time is equal to time to number inquiry dot start time end time and time counts is time valid equal to not number is nan start time and not number is nan end time. And we state it like it's time valid, like that. Otherwise, we do I think time zone remains date. Calendar events create body. There's a botch there. Good. Date is format date of inquiry dot start date, comma. How do they want that date? According to this, it's YYY MMDD, like that. And the same applies for this. Time valid. If it is, continue as such. Otherwise, date. We can just copy that again, chuck it in end date, and go time zone, what it has been. Alright, so that'll do our dates. Should be cool. Let's look at something that was failing. Part of that is just going to the live version where we know we've got a failure. And then seeing locally how we do. Maybe our inquiries are getting fakakta, I don't know. Might just be taking a moment. It might just be taking a moment. I wonder. Silently failing? Let's find out. check out where we're at locally. Okay. And let's reload. Yeah, we just have an error on the server. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. We got some bad data, but it appears our local stuff fixes it. So, format our end time. Ah, yeah, but we don't. It's because these people just type it in however they want to type it in. And who did we know failed? This one, I think. Might be an all-day event now. Turned out. It tells me we can't load it, but it loads. And it's all-day event. Yep. Let's get rid of those. Advanced cocktail hour reception. No need for that. Maybe we'll deal with it like we got two of these and we'll get to it later. I was thinking about keeping this, but there's no need for that. Alright, so we'll call that. Query view in THC app. It's like the little icon on, what do we call that one? Advanced. Say it's a document. Oh, it's just that way. Cool. Calendar event. Just like if not, calendar event error, calendar event data. Just cleaner that way. Good. And let's go to the next one. So we get for this one, which has awkward start and end time. And new inquiry in THC app, redirecting it to here. You're in Atlanta. Okay, that's fine. It's a little bit weird. What's that about? Let's do it in the database. Okay, what do we got? Services. Yeah, it looks cool. It's just not rendered cool, and I couldn't tell you why. This one seems to be trying to load 4. This one just seems to be loading 2 additional no matter what. Yeah. Annoying, but not the end of the world. Alright, so let's deal with it like this. Delete Jennifer's thing. Won't send it. We'll leave there. Delete this. We'll just say THC app. Yep. This is true in Elena. Quick refresher. And we're going to push that up. Great. And we go to THC app and it looks good. Okay, that's it. And the other one, okay. Wonder how that's going to look in the time field over here, though. Yeah. What do we do about that? Don't think I'm going to deal with this, except I want to. We put a little error message under it. You know, we've got an invalid date. User entered invalid date or invalid time under the start time. Something like that. See how that looks. Yeah, I do want it to be able to parse that, but it's not going to. I think that's okay. Yeah. Okay, now we're good. Can't think of anywhere else where we wouldn't be, so we'll just deal with it like we are. We've done that. Let's go to our change log. apps THC 102 creates all day event when time and start time and end time or end time are invalid. Let's go to version wherever we put that. Call that 102. And should be good. Is that in layouts? Dashboard, details, dashboard, details. Oh, yeah, of course. Oh, yeah, ensembles details page. We don't really need that because we don't have an ensembles details anymore. Goodbye. And same of services. Don't really have that anymore either. Goodbye. And associated routes, staff router, THC, goodbye, goodbye, goodbye ensembles, this page as well. Services, this page, hardly knew ya. And what more? We remove those little bits of cruft. We change our version. Oh yeah, back here we want to see version somewhere. To link. That page header as a link. I think not then. Or what? String or React node. See what happens with subtitle. Oh, it's in types. We won't deal with that. We're gonna stop the stream.